Hello there, everybody. It is Duck Designs. Today we are playing Mountain Descent. I'm going to give my best chance of pronouncing this name. Verniano? I think that's how you pronounce it. Maybe wrong there. But coming from YouTube is from Vernon Flood, one of my subscribers. I'm going to give this course a try. So let's check out and see if there are 4 tees. We have 3 tees out here. Not bad. Good distance spread between them. Pins, a whole 4 pins. Go pin 1, might as well. Looks like we're pretty much ready to go. I'm going to leave everything else on default. We'll see how she plays. Finally getting some videos out today. It's been a little while since I've been able to. I've had a couple on the back burner. I just have not had any time to actually sit down and edit or make anything. It's been a little busy with stuff. Alright, let's get a quick little look around the course right here. Ooh, boy. Got a course starting from on top of the mountain, playing its way down and around, it appears. A lot of holes kind of scattered throughout the landscape. Beautiful little island you've built here. See how the golf is, but I really love these island type courses, and I like the fact that you did a whole mountain setup here. Just me personally, if I were to build a lot just like this, I would have put all the holes along the ocean around the island. But that's just me. I do like the verticality out here, though. It's going to be very interesting to play throughout the round. Yeah, let's see if we have... Doesn't seem like we have a driving range or clubhouse anywhere. It might be hidden on this little mound, those little hill. More like a big hill, but yeah, I don't really think we have a clubhouse, driving range, parking lot, any of that stuff. So I'm gonna say this is more of a fantasy course, based off of all the hills and everything. Uh, Especially stuff like this. These are humongous drop-offs right here. One thing I would recommend is, especially nowadays with all the new rock types and rock shapes we have so many rocks to choose from that you can cover up stuff like this to make it not look so jagged and so awkward. You can add rocks, big rocks all around it. Oh, you could add big rocks around this whole mountain and really make this visually stunning. Because other than these tee boxes, how they're standing up right here, everything else out here is visually stunning. Like this whole island right here is awesome. I just personally don't like these raised tee boxes, these really sharp edges like this. It stretches the textures out and just kind of looks a little off. I do like how you have planted your heavy rough out here, especially if I can fly over, especially on this little area right here. You can almost see how it tracks down each hole. I think I'm curious about, I notice how you've got this kind of spotty design. I think this is the remove heavy rough tool that does this. Pretty sure. Alright, yeah, I think we've kind of seen enough of the course. Let's get down there to play. Alright, first hole, starting off with, I'm assuming a par 4. Yep, really short par 4. Really tucked green back here. Now this hole is really nice. Just kind of questioning this whole little fairway piece over here. I kind of understand why you added it. It gives people a little bit straighter of a line. But, I mean, it's so tucked back behind this hill back there that hitting this fairway is probably just as hard, if not harder, than actually hitting the green over here. Because this thing's tucked back behind this mound. You're going to have to hit a draw into here. If you miss it, you're obviously dead. I'm also curious... Yeah, there is no out of bounds. What it looks like. Out of bounds, especially on holes like this, are very important. Especially if I miss over here. This is a terrible area to be, which I understand out of bounds is really hard, especially when you've got a green basically touching another green on that hillside back there. But when you can use out of bounds is good. Like, this hole is probably a pretty good area to use some out of bounds on these cliff sides, because a lot of people, I don't know why, honestly, I genuinely don't know why they just never use the replay shot feature or unplayable feature. Like, people just do not use it for some reason. So wherever people hit their ball, they're probably going to end up playing from there. Green's not terrible. Not a bad green. Yeah, I don't mind the screen a lot. Maybe cutting these little reds off right here. Not a bad green. Doesn't seem like anything's crazy fast either. 134 on the green speed, not bad at all. I do like the planting out here. Every hole does, at least these first two holes are very claustrophobic. Not a lot of area to really hit your ball or miss or anything. But I do like the planting and the little fences and stuff that you put around. This is something that I've kind of mentioned before. I know this is in the shade, but just keeping these lines straight. Like, you want this line going flush with this green edge. See how it's kind of curving in and it's curving again. Just keeping this line straight on green edges where you do this. This right here is not terrible, but instead of bringing it flush over here, I would have brought it flush in with this edge right here so that it comes in straight. Just trying to avoid sharp angles with the fairway when you run it into greens like that. That's why I usually do fairway fringe around my greens, because it makes it to where you don't even have to think about this anymore. In terms of the green right here, not a bad green at all. I really don't mind this green. Got some very nice big flat areas. You got a defining slope separating the greens. A little tiny catch over here to throw people off the green. Yeah, not a bad green at all. Didn't even realize how far downhill this hole actually plays. This is playing quite a bit downhill. Now this tree right here, I may have moved this tree over a little bit. I think it's just kind of blocking out a little bit too much of a player's shot. Oop. Almost on the rock.
Okay, second shot here on the second. Nice chip, fantastic. And after that one, you sit at 1 under par. Here we have a par 4 hole.
Long par 4, really far downhill. Again, another one of these crazy layups. Is that out of bounds? Yes, we got some out of bounds. And we've got that out of bounds I was looking for. I kind of get it why you didn't put it on the first hole. I think these were meant to be areas for players to end up if they do miss their shots. But it's just always something to keep in mind. When you need out of bounds, you just need out of bounds. You know, like right here, obviously, you needed the out of bounds, because otherwise it's going to be too insane for players. Now, one thing I hate about this game that I wish so much we could do is bound out of bounds to certain hole numbers. So you see how right here, got this green down here that you simply can't put out of bounds on it because it's for a hole. Hold the fuck up. I think we might have a mistake down here. See this right here? I think this is out of bounds on the fairway. We're going to have to check that out. Out of bounds is a very finicky thing in this game. Super screwed up how it works. Yeah, you get out of bounds in the fairway up here. I've always had problems. I'm not even 100% sure if you can delete out of bounds once you place it on the ground. I've always been extremely careful with placing it. But yeah, you've definitely got an out of bounds strip up here in this fairway, kind of blocking, keeping your players out of that area. Again, not a bad green. Your greens really, I like your greens. There's not a whole bunch in them. I think everything that you've kind of got here is just subjective, whether you want it to change or not, depending on the designer. But in terms of, you've got your big open flat areas, you've got your multiple pinnable locations, you've got your helper and herder slopes, you've got nice little 9 pins. I heard this term from, God, I can't remember his name. I think it was In This Style. Yeah, In This Style on YouTube. talks about 9 squares a lot, where your flag, you've got your 1 square that your flag sits in and your 8 that's around it. So in total, you've got 9 squares. You want to always keep these 9 squares green. Never want to have these 9 squares yellow. So right here, you were a little close, but I think it ends up being just fine right there. Just something to keep in mind in the future. I've definitely been keeping in mind 9 squares a lot recently. It's just, I think it's kind of a made-up term, but it actually serves a great purpose because it kind of gives players an idea of where they can and can't put pins. Because a lot of newer designers will kind of put pins on the edges of slopes and in spots they really shouldn't be. God, what a miserable chip that was. Usually end up making a lot of my chips.
And after that, you're sitting at 2 over par. Teeing it up on a par 4 for this one.
150s. I hope we have these on the other holes because I haven't seen these yet. Interesting little hole here. Really forcing your players to hit a hard, like long shot. So if you lay up here, then you just have zero option of getting to the hole. One thing is for your layups, you always want the layup to be a good decision for the player. Like here, the best decision is just smack it and get it as far as you can past those trees. But you always want that layup zone to mean something to the player. It gives players those options, something else to do, in case they don't want to do what the original plan of the designer was. This one right here. Again, not a bad green. I just think maybe soften this slope up a little bit. This bottom, maybe raise it 6 inches to a foot. Instead of having a heavy red here, you have a light orange all through here. I think that would be really nice. I think this is just maybe a tad bit too much movement. We all know the new 2K23 greens. You got to be very careful with your movement on the greens, because the greens are just so much faster. Yeah, like this one, instead of being carried down that slope all the way up this slope and off the green, I should have just been carried down this slope and settled down here. It was coming in a little hot, but you get the idea. Oh no.
Okay, we could save par here with this putt.
What a tough one this is.
Well, it's going right by the hole. And that'll leave you at 3
You
over.
enjoy your planning. Got the nice little butterflies over here.
All right, let's see what we can do off the tee here. It's a long par 4.
Yeah, this is odd. Don't mind the hole at all. I'm just a little confused on the light rough, as we have not seen light rough anywhere else in the course. Even on my flyover, I don't think I saw any light rough, and now we've got huge sections of it right in here that really don't even fit in that well. Like, as I was talking earlier, you see how this is a 45 or a 90-degree angle right here, how it runs in so harsh like this. You always want to have those going in smooth, but you really didn't need this here in the first place. We've also got this really confusing zone up here of light rough that makes no sense. But that's just a simple delete right there. Other than that, I don't mind this hole. It's pretty cool. I would like to be able to reach this fairway, maybe. Guess I could, but not today for sure. Not a bad hole, honestly. Like the creativity out here.
We'll get through these branches
Whew.
eventually.
Scary there.
The deep stuff.
If we have any out of bounds, yeah. Might need some out of bounds on this left side of this hole if I went too much further down that hill. Let's see. Yeah, I could have gone all the way down to down here somewhere if I would have went a little further. Alright, let's see if I can actually get this out of here in any meaningful way.
That isn't,
Figures not.
is it? And we're setting up here.
I don't even know
Green. Might need some more club.
how I'm going to be able to get this out of here, honestly. I have to hope that's enough. It is not enough.
Taking a look at the
This is
elevation.
exactly what I was talking about earlier with making sure areas are OB. Because even though you've got this flat zone down here,
To the rough. It
I
seems
still
to be
can't even get
is always
up and
happening
out.
sometimes. So we're just practicing. I get
There
it.
we go. Just
Looking at
barely.
the deep stuff here.
Yeah, that exactly is why out of bounds is so important on heavy hilly courses like this, because when you miss and go down one of those areas like that,
That's a safe shot.
your player 90% of the time is just going to hit the ball. They're not going to take an unplayable and go back to the tee. They're going to need out of bounds to tell them to go back to the tee. Just how a video game is. I mean, in real life, people are never going to hit that.
Get
But
this.
since it's a video game, don't really care. You're going to hit that shot most of the time.
And we'll head on to the next hole. Now let's see what we can do here on the second.
Alrighty then. Not a bad green again. I like some of the movement. Got a little break right here in the middle, sending balls down that way. Making that side of the green a little scarier. The only thing I don't particularly like here is how long this slope is. I mean, you can see this yellow goes from all the way up here, all the way down to right here. That's a pretty long travel distance, and from like up here to down here. Like if I just barely miss this flag, I am all the way down off the front of the green. I think just making the slope a little bit not as long and also making it a little bit less aggressive would be very good. Otherwise, the hole is beautiful playing from up here. Now, I haven't really looked at your bunkers too much so far because they're not bad and they're not good. You know, they're somewhere kind of in the middle. This isn't a bad bunker, but this isn't a great bunker. There's just a little bit of inconsistencies in the bunker floor. I mean, you can kind of see how it's up and down all over the place. And maybe just some consistencies with the top height. You usually want to have the top part of your bunker kind of be the same height from left side all the way to right side. Just in my opinion. I don't know, something about this bunker just seems a little off here. Something about these little jagged movements. Something about the fingers. Oh, that's the first bunker I've kind of really looked at, though. This bunker back here doesn't look bad at all. Yeah, there's nothing really to complain about there. That's a pretty good little bunker. Kind of depressed in that hole right there. Shape maybe could be changed a little bit to make it more circular. I don't really think you need these cut-ins, but that's all subjective. Just smack it in the hole, fellas.
That's gonna work
Won't
just
complain about
fine
that.
on the approach. This putt's going.
But yeah, I think my first birdie of the day.
We are on the seventh hole. Let's see what we can do.
Yeah, I'm gonna start looking at the bunkers a little more now. Yeah, like that's just it's too thin in certain spots. It's got all kinds of inconsistencies in the bunker floor, and I mean, I don't think we've had an invisible bunker yet, but generally, it's a good idea to have your bunkers visible from the tee box. Also, you see how I can only see the front of this fairway? It's also generally a good idea to just have your whole fairway visible. But I do think this is our first hidden fairway slash hidden bunker on the course. But you've always got to have one or two. Fairway movement does seem a little odd though.
45 yards out from here.
I don't think you really needed this little cut in right here unless you were going to make a mound right here like a hill. I think you could have just continued this around. I understand making your shot a little harder on the players, but if you were going to do that, just add a mound here that'll act as a kicker slope, kicking people down more towards this bunker and more towards that slope down here. Like this bunker isn't as bad. This isn't a bad bunker. I don't mind most of this bunker. The only thing that I've kind of got an issue with is this large finger in the bottom. A lot of times what will happen is when you have a slope up above like this or on the side, balls will kick down into the bunker where they're supposed to go, but then they'll roll through the bunker and sit on these fingers. It happens more often than you would think. I mean, the entire point of having a bunker there is to have your ball end up in the bunker. If your ball ends up right here, then you know. It's kind of odd. I mean, same thing kind of up here. I mean, I think these fingers are a little too flat. Probably going to catch a lot of balls in here. Make these fingers more of a mound to kick balls off into the bunker instead of holding them on here. This slope right here probably is also going to hold a lot of balls. It's like when someone ends up missing to where your bunker is, you want it to be most likely they're going to end up in the sand. Like I feel like with this bunker in particular, if you went anywhere in this general zone, you've got about a 50-50 of being in the heavy rough or sand. But that's just my thoughts on it. And same thing kind of with this bunker right here. This one just got some very inconsistent bunker floor in it. Like you can see, you got a big drop right here, and then a kind of odd raise up into not a flat zone, but a slanted zone right here. The general idea is you want your bunker floors to be flat and almost all the same height, unless you've got an absolutely massive bunker. And then you want your walls running at probably about a 30-45% slope. Maybe 60% slope at max, but any higher than that, it can get a little odd looking as well. Like this right here, you've got a tiny little flat zone down here in this entire green, or in this entire bunker, I mean, which granted a lot of balls are going to end up down here because it's so sloped, but it just makes the bunker look a little off. Also, I would take out these couple plants right here just so you can see the bunker and it opens up the green a little bit. So I think I could actually visually see a little bit of the green from down here if it weren't for these bushes. Now, looking at the green, I think this is the first green where you've actually kind of messed up a little bit. The green, the idea of the green and the idea of the slopes isn't bad. It's just the slopes are a little too severe. It's just a little bit too much. I mean, this slope's massive. I would make these, instead of making these yellows, I would make these greens, but still have movement in here. These down here aren't bad. Might just change them to orange or just move them to where these slopes, instead of being on the green, or on the edge of the green, like off the green. Because generally, with 2K23, you want to avoid having slopes that feed balls off the green most of the time. You might want to have a couple of them across the course, one on this green and one on that green, but it's becoming more popular to avoid these because it just makes the greens look a lot nicer in general. It's okay to have a couple false fronts here and there, but generally you want these slopes where it's feeding off like this to be over here off the side of the green. So you want balls that miss the green to feed off, not balls that hit on and then roll off like that. Again, everything with the design is subjective, so that's just my opinion on the matter. Oh, that's not good.
Oh no, water. All right, this is
A
your
little bit of a
first
water ball there. Hoist that one on and up. Again, got a little bit of light rough here, kind of coming out of nowhere. Circling the green edge. Again, also last time I'll say it, just making the fairway go flush with the green. Let me just show one last time. So instead of having it run into this, you want to have it to run up and have it come in flush with an edge so that it blends in really nice. When you have these 45 or 90-degree angles right here, it just kind of looks a little odd, especially when you have them across the whole course. Which, don't hit down on yourself. I see that way more often than you would think. I see a lot of experienced designers doing that still to this day.
again. See how this went down.
Got a par there. Can't believe it.
And go. Let's see what happens here on the 8th.
Wild little hole here. Very interesting. I would take out this tree right here just to open up the fairway so you can visually see it a little more. I'm sure you put it there to block the fairway, but you always want to have your fairway at least a little bit visible. I mean, I guess you can see this a little bit, but I would like to have this moved so I can see that edge of the fairway, because that edge of the fairway is what really gives it that look, that shape, you know. Let's see what out of bounds we have here. None. I definitely think you could have added some out of bounds on this hole, especially for areas like this right here, because I'm sure that's going to eat up some balls. Same thing with long, which I very well could go long.
Roll into the rough,
Nope.
I think. This one's about 195 out.
Not a bad hole. It just, for some reason, it feels more like it should be a par 5, although it is very short. I get a par 5 vibe from this type of tee shot and this type of second shot. Again, this slope's a little too big. Actually, not a little too big, it's way too big. Got 21 feet down here and 17. That's a 4-foot slope right there in the middle of your green. You almost know. I mean, just think about it for a second. Think about any real courses that you've played with 4-foot slopes on them. Probably none, I would have to argue. There might be a couple in the world that have 4-foot slopes on the green, but that's just a lot right there. The general idea with the new game, I've told a lot of people this, I'll re-mention it here. You want to have 1 or 2 red slopes per green. You can have, I wouldn't say as many orange as you want, but I would say maybe 10% to 20% of the green can be orange slopes. Combined with the maybe 5 to 10% of red, that leaves you 70% of your green to be puttable, playable spaces. That gives you enough room for pinnable areas, and it also helps you avoid mistakes where you have way too big of slopes. Like, if I just do an aerial view, you can see out of this whole green, probably 30% of it or more is red slope. And nowadays in the new game, unless these have a specific tactical reason to be here, like right now, I understand that it's feeding balls from up here, but it is feeding balls way too fast. Balls are going to be flying off the edge of that green down there. Then again, this is all coming from me. Designing is extremely subjective. It's just in general, that's how I feel about things.
Chip shot.
That's one thing I mean, I've mentioned it a couple times, but literally every single thing about design is all subjective. It all depends on the person and how you feel. Every designer is different. Everybody you ask is going to say different things about the course, about the layout. It's just taking bits and pieces from all those and kind of creating what you think is the best. It all comes down to what makes you, the designer, the happiest when you're making your course.
Second shot on the
You
9th.
feel like what you're doing is a good idea, like it's going to play well, go ahead through it. Go ahead and do it. Even if you build the best course in the world, there's always going to be people that say, "Oh, it could have been better. Oh, this could have been changed." Got a little tied up in my monologue there. I didn't look too much at the hole. Not a bad hole though. I mean, if the hole has me playing to where I'm not even really thinking about it, it's not bad. I mean, I actually really like the look of this right here. With this bunker being raised up and this one kind of taking up that whole section. Green isn't bad again. Maybe a... I don't like that there's 3 slopes that are all going downhill, feeding into each other. Generally, you never even want to have 2 slopes that feed into each other, because what happens is somebody misses this a little bit, it comes all the way down this one, all the way down this one, and then you're all the way down here, all of a sudden. Something that I was taught just to avoid having a slope that feeds down into another slope, because it ends up taking balls way further than is meant to for the penalty there.
And sitting at
Unless you're actually designing it like that, unless you want the ball to, to miss from the top of the green and go all the way down to the bottom. Which I'm sure there are some designers that would like something like that in some areas. Giant drop off here. Giant drop off. Very interesting hole, actually. I don't mind the hole at all. I like the layout. Fairway's got a little bit too much going on here, in my opinion. See how it's kind of feeding things, but I think this slope right here is just a little bit too much. I think you cut down this entire top area by maybe 10 to 20 feet, lower it down. See, this is 80. Yeah, probably need to lower this whole area 10 feet from up here. Make it a little bit more flush. I mean, balls are going to kick down this way anyway. Yeah, let's go ahead and smash a little drive. Beautiful little view from up here, though.
Oh, well, that's no good. That green is
Again, kind of what I was mentioning earlier. If we're gonna put a cut in like this, have a reason for it. Have this either be a hole, like a swell, have this be a mound coming up, have it be in a bunker, have some floor right here or some trees or something. It's just generally you don't want areas like this cutting into your fairway that don't really have a purpose. I mean, it has the purpose of catching me. I'm in it right now. But it's just always a good idea to have some type of feature in those areas to give it really that reason for being there. A bad green, got one feeding away from us finally. I don't mind this green. Something about the shape is kind of irking me a little bit. Like there's a few too many curves in it. But really not a bad green in terms of movement and everything.
on that swing, though. Setting up here now for our third shot.
Oh, just a little long.
This would be nice. It could take you down to 4 over. You might be on your way to quite a little streak here. 2 birdies in a row.
4 birdies in the day.
And
Yeah.
teeing off on a par.
Usually never do good on these design talk-throughs because I'm just focused on the design of the course. This one, make this fairway a little more visible. Let me be able to, I guess I can see the tip of this fairway, but this tree and this tee box is kind of blocking it, so it really doesn't even feel like I should be looking over here at all. I can definitely make that, though. Looking further down the hole. Wow, we've got a little hidden fairway over here. Maybe make this a little more visible. This is a par 4. Oh my goodness. Yeah, this is giving me par 5 vibes again. Guess it does make sense that it's par 4. It's not extremely long straight this way. But playing that way is really long. So I don't know, I feel like there's a little bit too much movement in these fairways again. Like this one right here. Giant slope in here and also another kind of useless cut in again. This little bit of fairway has just got some really aggressive looking movements in it up there. Really don't mind these top 2 tiers though. Maybe make them a little more visible from the tee box.
Great swing on that one.
Look at that.
Second shot on the 11th.
Crushed it. Again, last time I'll mention it. I already said I mentioned it last time, but I mean, you can tell where you brought this fairway up and around and connected it to here. You just got to have it running flush into these green edges just so it doesn't look as off. I think I did a video on green fringes that kind of talk about that. It's probably in my basic class if you want to check that out. But it's just a couple ideas on how to do green fringes and green edges. Ooh, like this. Finally got an uphill hole here. Have we had a par 5 on this course yet? I feel like we've had one. We've had 3. Damn, I must just be Not paying any attention. Yeah, we've got 3 par 5s so far. Par 71 course.
Didn't sound like the
Oh!
purest of
Oh!
and blunk.
What a little line there.
Here's
Get
a
to drop it on the
shot.
tee box. Oh yeah, and for anyone curious, I do use the little side of the screen trick where I hover my mouse cursor over here to keep my shot straight
It's,
almost
a
every
little
time.
sketchy for my liking.
I don't play any competitive in this game, anything like that. I'm just here purely for the design stuff, so
Get out of there.
whatever keeps my shots going a little straighter, you know.
Shot.
But it is a little bit of a cheat on PC, basically, to get straight lines every single time.
All right, 19 feet to the
We had a
green.
hidden bunker back here. Yeah, completely hidden bunker. Not always bad, but probably not the best. This slope is way too aggressive for having this small bit of green right here. Any shot coming from up here is rolling off the front of the green. Like if I miss this long and I've got to putt back down here, there's no way I'm getting that to stop ever. As I said, just kind of keeping with that idea of maybe 2 areas on your green are red slopes. Maybe 10% of the total green area is red slope. Maybe 20 to
Oh
30%
my
total
goodness.
is orange slope.
Sitting up here with the
Like
putt.
right here, you're doing good. Like it's honestly, it's better to have no red or no orange compared to too much. It is better to have basically completely flat greens than it is to have greens with too much movement. Because greens with too much movement become unplayable, whereas greens that are too flat
Nice
are
putt.
always playable.
Let's see what happens here. We get a long par 4 for this one.
Like this little tee box up here, kind of tucked away on the hillside. Big downhill hole. Bit of a bad bounce there for me.
Didn't deserve that. You might want to aim a little bit more to the right. That
Screen's
overhang will
not
move your
terrible. It's just it needs some more defined tiers. I feel like what the hell's going on right here? It's just kind of an odd area. This slope's a little too aggressive again, and it's feeding people down into another killer slope that's feeding people off the green. So like a pin back here, it's going to be so difficult to hold because you're going to land on this slope and you're going to skip off the edge. And even if you land one up here and barely trickle it, there's a good chance you're going all the way off anyway. A lot of times too, you can do greens with larger slopes like this.
All right,
It's
back
just
in
you
the
gotta
bunker.
have those greens being very slow and very soft most of the time.
Nice chip.
Not a lot of instances that you
And
can get
here's
away
a par
with
putt coming up.
huge red slopes. And I think that
Throw.
area was completely flat, what I just
7
putted
under
on.
par currently. Let's see what happens here on number 14.
Let's see here. See this right here, like, I understand the idea. You're trying to feed balls and keep them in this little area. But this is just way too aggressive again. Way too strong. Your red slopes, when I say 10% of the green can be red slope, I mean soft red slopes. I don't mean like this, red slopes like this, you just cannot have in this game anymore. You see how fast those dots are flying across the screen right there? Just something that you just can't do anymore with how the new green system works.
Well done.
Not a bad shot though.
This one's about
Other than
20
that,
feet
I
to
mean,
the
other
green.
than that slope being a little too aggressive, this green is not bad. Not bad at all. I've really enjoyed how your greens have been today. There's only been a couple greens with some very large slopes. I mean, of course, I'm going to instantly point out the big red bad slopes, but the greens
Nice
have been
left into the
very
bunker.
good overall. I've really enjoyed them. Definitely seems like your greens are the best part of your entire course.
And setting up now in the deep rough.
I guess I might as well mention it since I hit it. Uh, this is also another reason why you don't do these big, huge slopes like this. They look so unrealistic, and they also add kind of weird towers for your golfer to hit or run into. What the hell just happened there? Oh, she running up the fence. All right, let's just smack it.
This one's heading to
We
the
hit
rough.
the hill, we hit it.
And as it turns out, we're in the fairway. Good stuff.
Tucked green back here.
Come on. Good Good
So,
job.
oh yeah, that's that OB from that other hole right behind the
Yeah,
green.
13 feet to the hole.
Yeah, also a few too many OB stakes. You don't have to go quite this heavy on it. Remove probably every other stake here. Like you don't need that one. Would need that one. Would need that one. Would need that one. People can visually draw the lines in their mind in between the stakes. I understand you're trying to get it
Here's the
exactly
outline.
probably where the lines are,
That's in there for par.
but you just don't need that many
And
stakes.
it's 7 over for the day. Par 4 for this one.
Uh, I wouldn't have these bushes here. It's kind of blocking out a little bit of the fairway. Don't mind the running down here. Don't mind it at all. Two little hidden bunkers kind of tucked away. Tree kind of blocking the long shot.
Into the fairway. Could head into the rough though. Setting up from the long grass here.
So this right here is a perfect example of too little isn't bad. This is not a bad green. It really can't be a bad green. I mean, you could maybe define this a little more and make this maybe a yellow slope or an orange slope. But even still, this is not bad. I like this green. This is a perfect example of too little is okay.
All right, I like being back on the fairway.
Bet you do like being back on the fairway, John.
Drop this and save that par.
Not gonna lie, I'm playing a little fast right now because I do really need to pee and wrap this up. It's gonna be a little worried about the slope in the front of the green here. I think I'm gonna stay worried about it. This would be fine on a hole that's like say 120 yards. That's gonna kick a shot that would stick short on. But since this is already about 200 yards of a hole, my shots landing here are gonna bounce onto the green on a flat green anyway. Now if they land here, I could almost guarantee you any shot landing here combined with this slope and this slope is going off the back of the green. All the way off the back of the green. I just have a very strong suspicion that's how it would happen. Let me see if I can attempt to land it on that slope.
Ooh, that was a
Nope.
little awkward on the swing there.
Bunker, again. This bunker just got a little bit too much inconsistency in it. Well, there we go. Switch to the putter. So, I mean, you can tell how large the slopes are on here and how inconsistent they are. Got these really weird low areas. Like golf balls are going to stick onto this as they're coming down this. They're going to possibly roll up onto here. Just a lot of really weird bunker movements. I mean, just think about it IRL. Are you ever going to see a bunker designed like this on a real course? Yeah, I don't mean to be rude, but this is definitely the worst bunker we've seen so far today. Your bunkers have been not terrible in general. It's just I feel like you need to work with keeping your bunkers consistent. You need to have a bottom area that is flat, walls that feed down into the bottom areas. These are just a little too wild. I guess since we've already knocked out talking about the greens and the bunkers in total. Forgot I was on a putter.
That was unlucky.
The fairways aren't bad. I don't mind the fairways. The one thing I would say is, as we've talked about earlier in the round, those little random cut-in areas you have, you always want to have a reason for those to be there. You don't just want it to be a flat area of heavy rough in the middle of your fairway, you know. You want to have a mound there, or a depression there, or a bunker there, or trees there, or something like that. But I mean, your bunker shapes and your movements in your fairways, or yeah, your fairway shapes and your movement in your fairways aren't bad. I really don't mind them.
All right, getting into an elevated green.
Let's see here. Maybe a little bit too much movement here. I bet if I land short, I'm off the back of the green. Front of the green's not bad. Don't mind this little front area at all. Hold, ball, hold. Yeah, see, all the way off the green, even though I barely inched that over that slope right there.
Looking like. And the chip will drop for the birdie, and that is a
John,
great way to end your
I'm
round.
amazing, John. Didn't even realize it was the 18th hole there. But overall, the course is good. I do like it. I just think there are some things that do need to be changed. A little too heavy slopes in some areas. Especially, I think the tee boxes, having big slopes in the tee boxes like that can be okay if you add rocks around it, as I said in the start of the video. But when you have giant 200-foot straight down vertical slopes, it's not something most golfers enjoy on their course, you know. But out of everything, though, your greens were phenomenal. There were only a couple spots in like 5 or 6 greens that were really messed up. Other than that, you had some really nice greens, some fun holes out there. I enjoyed the course. If you guys have any courses you would like me to play, drop them in the comments. I've been a little slow getting around to things and making videos recently. I've been working extremely long work weeks and it's been killing me. I just have not had any time to actually sit down and do this type of stuff. But if you do have any courses, drop them down in the comments. I'll try to get around to playing them here in the next month or so. And thank you guys for watching.